Guys, hope we're good, and welcome to episode 2 of the Slimming World series. I'm joined today again by Chris Oven. The question we asked 50 people was, did your body physically change shape, muscles, body fat, tone, etc.? And this episode is going to be good. We took it from an objective angle again, but this one, there wasn't many positives for Slimming World, I'm afraid to say, on their behalf. But the negatives, to be honest, what we addressed is going to be way better than episode 1. So tune in and let us know your thoughts. Please share it on all the relevant social media, and speak soon. Hello, welcome to the Glasgow PT show / podcast. We are on episode 2 of the Slimming World series, and we are joined once again by Chris Oven.
Glad to be back, mate. 2 weeks in a row. I'm looking forward to the whole series together.
Yes, spoiling people. So I had thought about just getting a different guest. You would probably remember from episode 1 when I said that. But I looked about and there's nobody better, more knowledgeable, that's dealt with people who have been in Slimming World. So I'm glad to secure Chris for the next couple of weeks and do this full series with. So happy days. Some amazing feedback, guys, from the last episode. Chris was telling me he's been receiving quite a lot of messages as well. So keep them coming. It's amazing how much people have been affected by Slimming World. We obviously only asked 50 people, but there's a ton more. At the end of the day, it's the UK's biggest weight loss organisation. So again, it just hits home the fact of, or the point of why we're doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, like you said there, the feedback that I got for over my way on the east coast of Glasgow, east coast of Scotland, sorry, has been massive, especially for my night fit crew. All positive to do the podcast and the information we relayed to people and how we were kind of like giving our honest thoughts and try to be as objective as possible.
Yep.
Obviously, we do have some biases that we're trying to kind of scrub a wee bit, but it's hard when we're also two honest guys.
Yep.
So transparency is the most important thing for us, but we're not going to sit here and make stuff up.
Yep.
Just to say we're being objective, if that makes sense.
Totally, mate.
We're going to tell the truth.
I think that's also why we didn't go in and before this series, me and Chris didn't get together and go, right, we need to know everything that Slimming World do. We need to know, because at the end of the day, we don't actually care. We're only getting it from the most accurate information we're going to get is from the people who have done it. Whether or not Slimming World can defend that and say, oh, that's not how we did it. And it's like, well, that's how it's been translated to people who actually do it. And that's all we care about. We only care about what they learned from their experience. That was episode 1. So however they translate that to us, again, we're not going to make it biased. We're only asking an open question that wasn't in any way like balanced towards our favour. It wasn't. It was a simple question. So those people gave us honest answers. And to be honest with you, the amount of people that flooded in after the first episode and told us their real feelings behind it, other stuff like fast food stuff or speed food they call it, all that kind of shit. We could have went in hard, but we're no. But unfortunately for Slimming World, episode 2 doesn't look good for you.
Nah, it doesn't.
And the question is, obviously, title of the podcast is, did your body physically change? So, mate, as always, I looked through the questions and the answers that people gave for everyone. And this one, I've got a positive column and a negative column. And I don't have a lot of positives here, mate, to be honest.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see, mate. Obviously, like you said, me and you don't plan this. We don't structure it. You've got the questions for each week. That's the only structure there is to this.
Yep.
The feedback we got for the team, your team, my team, anybody in Scotland who got the form or whatever it was, and then we just meet up and you basically fling this question at me and I give you my off-the-cuff answer to pretty much what we've been teaching people for the last 8-9 years.
Yep, absolutely. So, mate, that's exactly it. And hopefully that comes across to the listeners and the viewers. But this one is going to be, it's going to be one that hopefully educates you more than the previous one. Because obviously that was based on people's previous experiences that they shared. Now, don't get me wrong, that can still make you aware of, you know, things to come if you're in Slimming World, or just to put you off it completely. But this here is it's a close subject to us in terms of the negative side of it and the things that kept stacking up for me and Chris, because, and anybody watching this who has found the gym, who has found their fitness journey to be something that has overhauled their mental health, physical health, and just gave them a hobby and something to focus on. So we're going to touch on that today. I'm actually going to start with the negatives today, mate, because there is only one positive. Don't get me wrong, it is a big category, but We'll come back to negative at the end. Positive. So the negative, first thing, mate, was in all the 50 people that answered, none of them, pretty much none of them said anything about the building muscle. None of them says that they built bigger glutes, bigger shoulders, bigger legs, or even toned their muscles, right? None of them said that. Now, we all know that we all want to do that. That's a big goal of everybody's. You know, females don't want massive muscles, a lot of them, but they definitely want tone areas of their body. So the biggest thing that I noticed was nothing about muscle was mentioned. That's what somebody says. This is a quote from somebody's answer. Well, for a few people's answer. Nothing about muscle was mentioned.
Right, for me, that's a strange one, mate, because we know, I'm not going to go too scientific, but everybody knows, like, if the ultimate goal for these people is fat loss, essentially the demographic that we deal with and probably people going to Slim World do, having more lean tissue is just better for fat loss, like, overall. And I know for a fact Slim World don't encourage any sort of exercise, because someone I was speaking to today said these exact words to me. They encourage us not to train because when we step on the scales, we might be heavier. Now, obviously, there was no education behind that, but they know that's true, because I've got people at Night Fit who we don't do scale weight, right? But say every 6 months they just weigh themselves. The weight's not changed, but their measurements have and their dress size have, because they've probably added some lean tissue. But they look a lot like they want to look as opposed to how they looked before. So just to say, for Slim World to say that nothing was mentioned about muscle growth or any sort of like that is just counterproductive. Like we spoke before, weight loss and fat loss, two totally different things, mate. But that's another podcast.
No, but you're right, mate. And it's something that I've never really drummed in on, because sometimes as coaches, we like, I said this in the previous episode, but we like to talk the language that our clients use. You know, people get all bent out of shape because people call it toning, and it's like, look, that's the language they use. You could sit there all day saying it's no called toning. Do you mean building muscle? But at the end of the day, that's the language your clients use. So use it. There's no harm in it. It's not going to cause any bad kind of relationship towards the body or towards weight training. But that, mate, what you said there was spot on. And this is the next point that I'm going to tie in with, was a consultant was actually negative towards weight training. That they're actively negative towards weight training. I don't know if any of you watching have felt that as well. And do you know why that is?
That I just said there, that the weight might not come down in the scales.
Aye, so because obviously the breakdown of muscle.
Oh, sorry, you asked me for the scientific reason.
Aye,
of
no,
course,
so that's the reason. So the consultant's saying that because it won't look good on her. Because each consultant will have, they'll be tagged towards people. And then obviously if they're losing, it looks good for the consultant.
Of course it does.
Consultant, who's not qualified, by the way, just a previous loser. So they're actively telling people not to weight train. So, mate, let's talk about weight training quickly. In the sense of what it's done for you. I started obviously in Pure Gym. You had been there for a while. You were probably the biggest guy there, so I came to you for advice to build muscle, because I was 69 kilo, and I was like, right. And then you imparted your wisdom and told me the benefits of weight training, and there was a reason that you enjoy weight training. So what has weight training done for you, mate? Why should we be promoting the benefits of weight training?
To be honest, mate, I'll talk about more like what I think weight training does for our demographic, because I think that's more important probably, because they might look at me and go, he's a big guy, so they might not relate too much to that. But what I found, it did start with me, obviously, and then when I figured out the benefits for me, I'm like, this will work for everybody, because like I said before, having lean tissue in your body is better for fat loss overall, because weight loss and fat loss are two different things totally. So weight loss could actually be muscle deterioration because your calories are so low. Weight loss could be just losing water weight, dehydrating yourself. Do you know what I mean? Fat loss is fat loss, so it's totally different. But mate, weightlifting for me is just helps your posture, helps with bad injuries you've had before, recovering for, like you say you've damaged some sort of like your back muscles and that before, building that kind of like posture and muscles just help me massively.
Yep. And I think, mate, like it's very aware now, obviously mental health's on the rise in terms of people being more open about it. We're obviously offering up solutions to help with it. You know, we spoke just before the podcast with Paul, and we spoke about meditation. We spoke about why we weight train. It might not be to deadlift 300 kilo, but it's to be away for an hour in your zone. And that might look different for everybody, but for the majority watching this who have took to weight training, they've found that purpose. You know, I speak about it all the time, but I don't think you can successfully diet over a long period of time without some form of exercise.
Absolutely.
Imagine trying to diet every single week and restricting yourself, and that's the only method you have to put yourself into more of a calorie deficit. Imagine that.
Well, where do you go?
Exactly.
Lower and lower and
You
lower.
keep going lower and lower and lower. And that for me is obviously a big, big worry. So when people say to me, oh, Chris, it's just my diet, training, I'm not really interested in working out. I'm like, look, well, you're going to be on this cycle of dieting for the rest of your life because you're not going to add any muscle mass. We know that if you've got more muscle mass on your frame, you will burn more calories at a resting rate.
Yep.
We know that. Typically, that's why males get leaner than females, because we have more muscle mass, generally speaking. So for weight training to be ruled out completely when we know the benefits that it has on changing your body, changing your shape, being able to be a fat burning machine a lot better, and i.e. to keep it off and stop this diet cycle going back and forward. And the fact of the buzz, mate, just the buzz enjoyment, like nothing gets me nervous anymore at this stage, apart from, for you, it'll be your jiu-jitsu and that. For me, it's walking up and deadlifting a heavy weight that I know I need to do. That gives me a wee bit of nerves, makes me need a pee every 10 minutes. Like, I don't get me wrong, I want to find more stuff like that. And I have weight trained a while, and again, I want to find another version of that for weight training. But I see it, you'll see it with your ladies only gym, time and time again. They come in and they're a bit skeptical, you know, they lift a couple of kettlebells and they're a wee bit like, I'm not sure about this, I'll just not be good at that. Then they pick it up. Next thing you know, like, Chris, put on a 5 kilo on that bar.
Yep.
Like, you see that, and when a client gets that click, as a coach, it's the biggest one you'll get.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that for the female in the gym. Like, I'm about 95% of our members have never lifted weights in a gym before. So they're a wee bit paranoid that they won't do it right, first of all. They've never done it before. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand why it's beneficial to them. So I guess this is good why we're talking about it today. But see, after 3-4 weeks, mate, they absolutely love it.
Aye.
To the point where now they can't go, most of them don't, they still enjoy the boot camp outside, but it's two different worlds now. So I mean, the lifting weights just gave them so much confidence.
Aye.
And the changes in their body and in their mindset in a short period of time for all the right reasons is just massive, mate. Going into the one thing you probably missed there when you lined off like 100 positive things about it is going into older life as well, mate. Weightlifting's massively important for your bones and all that kind of stuff as well. Because you know that things like osteoporosis is very common, like 20 years ago for older people before. So that's going to prevent stuff like that from happening as well in the future.
Yep. Aye, mate, definitely. And I think people watching this who have left Slimming World, they now have had a coach, or they've now, you know, found their own feet in the gym. Imagine taking away the gym. Imagine taking away weight training. How would that genuinely make you feel? That's what that's why I want to shed this light on people who are trapped in the you know, weight loss cycle, whether it's Slimming World, whether it's all these other companies. Imagine not having that. That's why I want to shed the light to show you the benefits of weight training. Yes, it's a skill. Yes, it's daunting. Yes, some of the machines, like I said in the last episode, look like spaceships, but get help, and trust me, you'll enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I can't imagine trying to diet without having the tool of working out or doing some sort of, like, playing football, playing sport, any kind of sport, like when they're back up and running, like badminton and stuff like that, gonna run. Do you, like, imagine that?
It'd be miserable, mate. I think even runners know that as well. So you talk about ultramarathon runners and stuff, they still lift weights at a certain degree because they know they need some sort of muscle tissue in there if they're going to run for 104 miles. You can't, I don't think there is a sport that wouldn't encourage some sort of weightlifting in it because
complements it.
It's so beneficial, mate. Like, and I think this is the era of it beginning as well, especially for females. I think the last 10 years is like, as you notice in the free weights area and that in the bigger gyms, it's becoming more female populated now than it ever was when we first started.
Yeah,
even
definitely.
PTs as well, mate.
Yep.
When I was in my PT course back in 2012, there was only one girl on it and 13 guys. But now you're starting to see, because I obviously deal with those kind of people that come through the courses, there's a lot more females than there's ever been, so it's good.
Aye.
I think obviously we're guys and we coach females, but I think it's still good that more females are coming into the industry like that as well, because it shows maybe the women who are a wee bit scared of guys in the gym might look at the females and think, do you know what, actually, I'll start with that. I feel more comfortable in that area.
Yep.
Straight away.
Definitely, mate. And that'll eventually snowball in the coming weeks, months, years, because we'll start to see more female transformations. We'll start to see more female coaches, and certainly more female coaches actually talking up and speaking up and being confident that this isn't a guy's world as well. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's a big, big red flag, mate. I think that to turn around and say to people, don't weight train because you're going to appear heavier on the scales is fucking, it's up there with sins, mate.
It's morally wrong, mate.
Aye.
It's morally wrong because, again, what they're looking at is scale weight. When we all know that we spoke about it last week, but we'll speak about it again. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. That's not, like you said, it doesn't say in your grave, Senga weighed 88 kilos.
Yep.
So
We'll come to that.
again, it comes to the consultants and the whole slimming world theory and how it works. It's all based on stepping on a scale, but especially for females, mate, the variables for fat loss or weight loss, whatever you want to call it, is massive, mate. Week on week, day on day. How much water did you drink yesterday? How much food did you have yesterday? How much of any macronutrient did you have yesterday? Did you train? Did you do cardio? Are you stressed? Have you not slept? All those things you could almost, if you could get somebody, mate, right, who is a wee bit like mentally sound and can deal with stepping on the scales every day and do an experiment with them and then track it every day and show people the weight change on the scale every day with that individual person.
Aye.
But they need to be mentally sound, mate, because the scales can ruin people's minds.
Yep.
When they step on it every day, I've seen it a million times.
Yep.
They step on it, Chris, I put a pound on for yesterday. I'm like, well, what did you eat then? Do you know what I mean? Or did you sleep well?
Yep.
Did you drink water?
Yeah, we'll
So-
come to the skills,
Yeah,
definitely, mate. So that's weight training. That's the weight training element of it. Imagine taking weight training away. Of course, you can't take something away for somebody that's not got it. So some people don't see the benefits of weight training because belief issues.
Yep.
They are caught up in the slimming world thing, so they don't look about and see people weight training. So that's why they don't really know about it.
Yep.
But all you need to do is look at people who are in the fitness world and you follow, and why do they keep putting pictures up of them lifting? Why do they feel strong as fucking feel? You know, people who, you've done a lot of boxing in your time, mate, and people love that shit. They love to let out aggression. You know, they're away from their partner for the night. The weigh-ins are getting watched, and they just hit a couple of punch bags. They do some weight training, and they feel $1 million. You can never feel $1 million on a diet.
No.
So you need to give it a try.
Yeah, mate.
Definitely. Next point I want to talk about, mate, and this is something that baffles me as well. As you know, people watching this, you'll know that me and Chris are big into before and after photos. Despite what some coaches might say, that before and after photos are not a true depiction. Yeah, that's true if you're on a shake diet or if you're fucking on 300 calories, right? But pictures are an amazing representation of progress. But taking fat loss aside, like when you get a client to send you a before photo, the first thing we're looking for is imbalances,
Yep.
posture,
Yep.
You know, anywhere the body type,
Yep.
so the shape of the client, you know, it could be an ectomorph, it could be all these kind of things, and you go, right, you know, for example, this person's tall and skinny, or tall and skinny fat, as they call it, and we can work with stuff, we can work with some ideas, so we tie that in with the weight that started with, we can tie it in with their habits and their lifestyle, what they've tried in the past, so the more data, the merrier, right? But in slimming world, nobody's looking at your posture,
No.
which, as we know, mate, like from 9 to 5 workers and stuff, and especially in this right now, when everybody's working from home,
Yep.
some people are sitting on their garden chair in their kitchen like that. Do you know what I
Hunched
mean?
over.
They're not sitting in proper chairs that's propping them up. So to me, mate, that's something that a person answered these questions and says, none of our pictures are ever reviewed. So, you know, again, it's that whole scale weight metric. So how many times, mate, if as a client weighed their cell or whatever, or, you know, felt that they weren't getting anywhere, and we've put 2 photos together and they've went, wow, Chris, how many times, mate? Like,
Every week.
Aye.
No joke. I could pull 100 up on my phone right now, mate, because we're good at tracking that. It makes a massive difference. Do you know why? Because I was speaking to, again, it sounds like I'm making this up, but like a girl, Hillary, she won't mind me saying, speaking to her today, she says, Chris, since I've been here, I've not lost any weight. And I'm like, I'm not interested in your weight. She's like, no, I'm just telling you, though, I've not lost any weight at all. But I had these jeans for like a year ago, and I could never get them on. And then I tried them on the other day, and I got them on and zipped up. And I'm like, there you go then. I says, that's your progress right there. Those jeans, that's all I care about. She sends her pictures on that, mate, but for me, in that one situation, she couldn't really see the difference in the pictures, but the jeans was the big one for her because it showed her. So she took a picture with the jeans on, mate.
Yeah.
Can't fit them on before, and then the one where it does. And that just changed their day, mate, and changed their mindset going forward now for the rest of their training.
Yep.
Because
But you were able to have that conversation with her, mate.
Yep.
But imagine you go to your club on a Tuesday night and, you know, your weight's no changed, but you genuinely did feel your work trousers a bit loose. And, mate, this is coming in fresh. This news, no fresh, it's a couple of years ago she told me it. But a client actually told me, mate, that she never lost weight one week. So they sat her down at a table, mate. Apparently they do this quite often. You sit down at a table, and if your weight hasn't changed on the scale, they ask you why in front of people.
It's like Jerry Springer or something.
Aye, they actually Oprah. So they actually sit and say to you, "Do you know why it's not happened?"
Of course they don't
Like
know why.
Alcoholics Anonymous, mate. That's what it's like.
See, the thing is, mate, like, first of all, that's just wrong right straight away. But second of all, mate, the person doesn't know anything about fat loss, weight gain. They know nothing. So you ask somebody that question, what are they going to say? What sort of answers do you expect to get back from
Yep.
it? Why? Don't know, Sandra. Just didn't do it. Maybe I ate something wrong, or maybe I ate too many sins that day. Too many sins, mate. How are they supposed to, I want to know how they're supposed to answer that, mate. What would you expect for somebody who you've never educated? You never tell them the proper way to do something long term, and then sit down because they put a pound on that week and ask them why it happened. What sort of answer is supposed to get back for that? And then where does the answer even go, mate, when they tell them?
Exactly, that's what I was about to say, mate. Who's that person to ask that?
They're probably, without again sounding derogatory, they're probably bigger than that person.
Yep.
So they're sitting saying to them, how come you never lost a pound? And they're sitting probably a wee bit bent out of shape themselves.
Mate, it's not derogatory about it because the scenario is your weight.
Yep.
So the weight is like whatever your weight is. If you're going to say that weight's important, if your consultant weighs more than you, is that no some sort of fucking, what do you call that? Hypocrisy?
Aye, hypocrisy. Aye.
Is that no hypocritical? To sit there and say that why's your weight no went down? I mean, we don't care about weight, right? Clearly, you just need to go into all our transformations. There is never a total loss in weight there. Never. I never write it because I made a conscious effort to know that the public look at this stuff. They go, oh my God, I had her body on the left. I want the body on the right. What does she weigh? How much did she lose? I know how the public take it, and it just encourages bad behaviours towards scale weight again. So I don't write how much my clients have lost. I just don't. So again, that's another angle that if you want to play the scale weight game, all your consultants better be a healthy scale weight. If you want to play that game,
That's what Slim are doing. They're playing the weight loss game.
So let's play with our consultants as well then.
Maybe we should get them on, mate, and put them on scales and see how they feel.
Exactly.
Say, oh, Sandra, come on. Seen
Aye.
you last week and you put 2 pounds on.
Aye.
Imagine that.
See how we feel. Who
bad,
holds the consultants accountable? Because it's not even accountability, mate. Let's be honest.
Nah, it's not.
So, yeah, no pictures getting reviewed is a massive one. You know, we do pictures because the likelihood of our clients changing body shape is very high because we weight train with them.
Yep.
You know, if you've got a blocky waist, if you genuinely have a blocky waist and you're quite short, how about actually building some muscle in your legs, building some muscle in your shoulders,
Yep.
and actually, do you know what? You're going to change the illusion of your shape. You might not be able to change your physical shape. Like it's quite tough to change your
Your natural body shape.
your natural body shape, but you can certainly give it illusions. Like for me, for example, I'm short and my waist isn't exactly the leanest, but I can make my shoulders thicker and bigger.
Yep.
And then my quad's bigger and it gives off that illusion. Now, I'm not saying you turn into fucking Johnny Bravo as a female, but what I'm saying is if you tighten up areas,
Yep.
you can change the shape of your body. All you need to do when you're thinking of that is clothing. Think of what clothes do to you. So you can also do that, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says, you can sculpt. You
Yep.
can sculpt your body with weight training. So, yeah, mate, those 2 points kind of tied in nicely, to be honest. The next point is what we've kind of been dabbling with as we go, because it's another thing with Slimming World. It's just the main thing. And this was 50 people said this to this question.
Yep.
Every single person touched on this. And it was the emphasis that was always on the scales. Like I've wrote here 50 because that was the emphasis. The emphasis was only scale weight. So it wasn't even... The funny thing I find about this, mate, right, is when people talk about Slimming World's community and how good their community is. So you walk in and Sandra's there and Senga's there and we're all, high-fiving each other and it's gone, right, what about your consultant? Have they asked you how your week's been? Have they understood your stresses for the week? Have they taken into account that it's your time in the month?
Yep.
Do they know your Doug? Do they know your partner? Do they know your living situation? Do they know your previous diet history? We do with our clients. We know every single thing about that. Fucking wrecking the joint. But we know every single thing about that, didn't we?
Well, that's the difference, mate. See, you just touched on there. These people have never seen anything like that before, though, mate. See, the people go to Slimming World, they've probably never seen anything like what we offer.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, that would be like, they've probably never done anything before and they step into that amazing Slimming World community. And it probably does feel a bit better than being lonely because you're surrounded by another 50 people who are just as vulnerable as you and just as probably more upset when you stand on scales and all that, so you probably feel relatable, but they don't understand there's a whole world out there where somebody actually can look after you for the long term instead of you. All you know is to show up on a Tuesday night and step on a scale. And like we said last week, most of the people that I know that go to Slim World used to starve themselves on the Tuesday, dehydrate themselves on the Tuesday, so that when they stood in the scales, like a fighter does, they dehydrate themselves because they want to fight at a lower weight and then put the weight back on with dehydrating. So that's what they're doing. A lot of them do that, mate, and that's not a myth I'm making up here. This is like straight from the horse's mouth. This is what they tell me. They get to a Tuesday and they just spend all day in work, do cardio in the morning, don't drink water, don't eat. So when they're showing it up that night, they're just obviously a wee bit lighter.
Mate, exactly. Ironically, so the stuff you said that they do in preparation of stepping on a scale, ironically makes their day pure shite.
Yep.
So if I asked you at check-in, proper coaching, Chris, how's your day's been? It's actually been shite, mate. I've been dehydrating all day just so I could get a scale tomorrow. Well, guess what? We're not going to ask you your scale weight. We actually want to know how your day's been. And you wouldn't have had to dehydrate. You wouldn't have had to try and make weight.
Yep.
You know, because like that's always a good example. And I know people who say that people shouldn't weigh themselves at all unless you're a competitor or a fighter.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make weight. Because weight actually matters to fighters.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. The emphasis is always on the scale weight, and we now know, mate, that there's a million other things. Let's say scale weight's a good metric. Let's actually just agree that it's a good metric, right? Okay. For 1 second. What about the rest of the picture? Would you I'll agree with you that scale weight's good, but what about the rest of the metrics? The stress, the sleep, the mental attitude, the self-development side of it, the have you focused on yourself for half an hour a day?
Yep.
The deep-rooted stuff that comes from people's lives.
Yep.
That by asking one really good question, you actually get the client to open up. You know, in Slimming World, you're not going to get that. So what you're not going to get is an understanding of the person. And actually, the eating habits, the lifestyle choices, the lack of steps, the lack of willingness to be happy, they actually could just be solved by asking somebody how they are that day. How do you feel on a Wednesday instead of, waiting to next Tuesday for your weigh-in? And that's what we do every single day. And people watching this that probably are looking and going, I probably need to ask a few questions. You know what it's like, mate, when you ask a client a question and she goes, I wish you'd never asked. Yep. And they hit you with a paragraph. But what that does there is get you and the client bonding. It gets you to understand the client's why. You know, when you go to Slimming World, you're never knowing the client's why. You never know the person's why. And that is a worry for me, like going forward, because the more information you have about a client, the more you can either get a fucking grip today, Chris, or look, Chris, do you know what? Miss the session tonight. Go a walk, clear your head a wee bit. Yep. Slimming World aren't going to do that for you.
Nah. So anybody who's watching this who's either part of Slimming World or thinking about Slimming World, you need to ask yourself the question, because we'll never get a chance to see you probably, is what are you really after from your life? Now, I know that's a bit deep, but most people associate that happy feeling with weight loss when they feel like that, Chris, when they feel a wee bit overweight and that. So, but what I've realised in the past is, it will help you a wee bit when you lose a wee bit of weight, but depending your full life on a scale weight, you'll never be happy. You'll never find that contentness in yourself. Not ever. So you need to ask yourself what you're really looking for, right? Because we both know that Slimming World probably can't provide that for you long term. So finding somebody who actually cares about you and who can ask you the right questions, because mate, asking somebody the right questions could be the trigger for something special long term. We've been asked questions before, and I know for a fact when I've sat and thought about it, I'm like to myself, like, remember the story with wee Ben? When I basically said to him, what have you done with your life? Because he was acting like the big man. And he still remembers that question, mate, to this day, because he couldn't believe it. He's like, what have I actually done with my life? And I didn't mean that to be bad against him. It was just a question. So he would sit and think, what have I actually done? Am I wasting my time here? I'm not doing my best.
Yep. So
I'm going to have to be tangent at the point is, ask yourself that question before you take part in any sort of fat loss diet, is ask yourself what you're really looking for. And can that provide it for me?
No, mate, I love that. That's like, I'm just going to echo that, mate, because it's such a good point. It's almost like spinning on its head and going, right, forget signing up with the Glasgow PT, forget NitroFit. Just take what your struggles are right now, right? Take it as a problem and then look at a potential solution. So, Slimming World, right, whether you like it or no, right, they talk about weight loss. I need to lose weight. That's what you're thinking in your head. I also need to feel better when I take the weans to the park. So I need to be healthy. I need to be fitter, cardiovascularly fitter.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So will I get that when I lose weight? probably if you're up at the high stone, the amount of stone mark,
Yep.
you'll definitely be able to move a bit quicker. You certainly won't get fitter. You certainly won't get faster doing that. I also want to change my legs, my bum. I hate my legs, my bum.
Yep.
So I need to build muscle. Right, okay, Slimming World don't offer weight training, don't tell you to train. There's a cross right away. I also want to, wake up in the mornings and go a morning walk. I want to find something that gets me away from the mental house that I live in. I love my Waynes, I love my partner, but I need something for me, an hour a night, once a week, that gets me only thinking about sweating, playing badminton, any kind of sport, something that takes you away for the real world for an hour a week. Does Slimming World offer that? No, because you're going to go in and you're going to talk about your weight, right? Okay, another cross. And what Chris said there was absolutely spot on, and I've never looked at it from that angle. Just look at it for a second and go, right, is this the service for me? The answer might be no. You might look at mine and go, this guy's going to probably get me to take before photos, and I don't really want to take them. No, don't get me wrong. I'll probably turn you and convince you to do it because I know hundreds of females it's worked for. But if I'm genuinely know the service for you, then don't do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like wanting a jacket. And if you want a jacket for the next 4 years, don't go to Primark. If you want a jacket for the next couple of weeks and months, go to Primark. If you want a jacket for the next couple of years, buy a proper Parker jacket and it'll do you for that length of time. Look at the product that's on offer and honestly ask yourself, make a pros and cons list.
Yep.
Write it down and go, cons, too many cons. Like we do with this.
Yep.
We're just trying to make your pros and cons list for you to make you make a decision.
But do you know what it is as well with some of these people? It's a lack of, first of all, patience, right? They want it right now, so they're not willing to sometimes go through the weight training, and because it does take a wee bit longer, let's be honest, right?
Yep.
To where they think they want to be with the 2 stone mark and all this. And then the other one is just the basic lack of, I don't know if you call it ignorance, but they just don't even understand any of it. So it makes no sense to them. So that's why this chat right now, mate, is so important. So if anybody's watching it and you've not got a clue about weight training, it's important that you listen now, because it will make a massive difference. It will. I'm going back to the very first point, mate, just because I forgot to say it at the time, but anybody that's watching this and you do have a lack of understanding about it, it's time to change that. Because we're not doing this, we're just doing this, mate, because we want to help people. That's why we sit here and talk. I've travelled all the way here for the other side of Scotland just to chat with you, mate, because if people are watching this and we can help even one, see if one person texts you and says, Chris, I need help, that's the victory for us, mate.
Yep.
That's the victory. So you need to reach out and ask.
Aye. That's it. And, mate, we'll tag this in our stories. We'll put this on Instagram. We'll put this on YouTube. People reply a comment. We'll reply to it, mate. This is what we do. This is what we love. And we just want to educate people, because it's just, like I says in episode 1, it's just not enough what we're doing. So we need to go to that next level and get people away. Because I get it. Listen, we get it. Me and Chris get it. We train enough people to know. Yep. We basically get half the Slimming World people eventually.
Yep.
So we know. We're not sitting here saying that you're stupid and you shouldn't be doing that, because we'd be calling everybody stupid, wouldn't we? We'd be calling a client stupid. It's not about that. It's about being slightly blinded and being in a vulnerable position, so you reach out to the first thing that comes. But you've got to really look at it and see the person that recommended you that's probably put the pounds back on. Does that not tell you something as well? So, aye. Cool, mate, a wee quick point here, and then we've got a couple of really, really good ones. And I always say this, mate, like, regardless if something's a £5 or if it's £500 a week,
yep,
that I've quite a lot of people propped up with this same thing and says that they felt that they were just paying someone to weigh them. So every time they showed up, they were just paying to get weighed instead of just buying their own scales in the house.
Aye.
That's if you read between the lines there, mate, that speaks volumes for probably the knowledge or the lack of knowledge they were given.
Absolutely.
So they actually felt that when they showed up to a class, they paid their money, they set on a set of scales, and they were either well done or bad, then they left. So that probably speaks volumes for the lack of what else was going on in that fucking bowling club or wherever they're taking it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Mate, it's usually like what you just said there, mate. They're paying a £5 to basically step on scales, which they could probably buy a set of scales for 20 quid. And that's like 4 weeks worth of Slimming World money. And they can step in their own scales. They're reaching out to the Slimming World people because they've got some sort of pain going on inside, like mentally and physically, that they think this person might be able to solve. They're going to step on the scales, and then Sandra's going to tell me something I don't know about stepping on the scales that's going to then benefit me going forward.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So whatever that pain is inside, mate, they believe, because again, it's I don't know if ignorance is the right word, because I somehow have a negative connotation with that word, but it is ignorance because they don't understand it. They're looking to Slimming World to solve that problem for them, but it can't. And that's the truth.
Aye,
They
it
just
is.
can't do it, mate. That's why we've got other ex-clients. Slimming World can't do it. So the point in us doing this is to stop them taking that step for, say they're trying to get from A to B, they're going round the way, and it's then back in towards one of us two. But they've went through the fucking sleet in the snow
Yep.
to get there,
Yep.
instead of just going straight in a straight direction. Does that make sense?
Aye. Mate, I think as well that the people need to realise that, let me just get my phone out, right, a wee set and a calculator. People need to realise that there's different types of business models,
Yep.
right? We typically charge a lot of money for a good reason, because the service that we provide, not because we think we're worth it, but because we offer a life-changing solution. Take a wee setting, right, and look at Slimming World's model. What is it, a £5 a week?
Either. What used to be, aye.
Let's say it's a £5 a week, right? Times 4. It's 20 quid a month. And we times that by Sandra, who was there for 8 years. Let's say 50 weeks. 50 weeks of the year, times 8. So we get 400 times 20 quid. She's paid 8 grand over that time, right? 8 grand she's paid. And she's put the weight back on.
Well, she's probably worse since before she started.
Probably worse than before she started. She has a wrecked relationship with food, and she is now 46. And it's probably, she's just like, do you know what? Fuck it.
Yep.
You know, so my point is I'm making here is look at the difference there. Again, we use the Primark model and then North Face or Bergos model, and you go, right, well, look, is the service right for you just now? Yep. You know, I've put transformation challenges on for cheap before because I'm playing the numbers game. I'm giving a watered down service of what I usually typically give, online coaching, one-to-one. You work with me directly. We talk every single week. You have my WhatsApp number. Someone will play the numbers game. So look at that for a second. You're a number paying a low entry fee because all you do is get stepped on scales. You'll get a wee handbook probably for you to read through. As you're reading it, you've probably got a million questions and you go, the consultant going to answer them? That worked for them? Who started this Slimming World journey themselves on a different mission? They might have broke up with their partner and went, do you know what, I'm going to lose fucking 3 stone to get back at my partner.
True.
Then they're a consultant now and they're going to tell you, Chris, why are you not losing weight? You don't understand my why. I actually just want to feel a bit better. Now I'm getting tarnished with this scale weight that I can't lose. So that's something that we've got to address, mate. It's got to be brought to the forefront. Because if you pay cheap, you'll pay twice. And then you'll pay 3 times. And you know, a £5 a week, it's nothing. That tells you that see if you pay for something and go off. It's like paying for a gym membership. How many? I think you helped with the stats, mate, with gym memberships. How many gym memberships? What was the stats for the Pure Gym before? Remember?
Oh, for the sleeping members, I was a manager of a big commercial gym, and we had about 6,000 members, and that obviously could tell who was coming in and out, and you can see who the sleeping members are. Only about 1,000 out of 6,000 were actually like showing up.
Aye.
Like everybody was paying, but who was coming in and training and making use of the membership was only like 1,000 out of 600, maybe not just under 1,000.
So again, that just shows you that the system's broke. You know, even if you're 20 quid a month, you pay that for a year.
8 years.
And then 8 years. So if you pay cheap, you pay twice, then it keeps going. So all I'm asking for people watching this and listening is look at the models. Don't just actually look at it and go, why is it so cheap? Right, okay, why? Right, there's that many people. They're playing the numbers game. And how can you play the numbers game? You play the numbers game by offering a service that's not tailored.
Yep.
It's just copy and paste, step on the scale, here's your handbook. We're going to write your weight in your pad. That is why it's a £5. What's not as a £5 is our coaching service, where you come in, you get your logbook, you come into a private facility, or your online coaching, and you get access to a private site where we have videos, webinars, you're just looked after for the minute go. And like I say, we know that your dog's name, we know everything about you, we know your history, we know your medication you're on, we know everything. And that's why it's expensive for a coach. So I just wanted to put that in people's head the next time they think it. Because some people don't think, mate, they just think, that's cheaper, keys it. But you're going to pay twice.
Again, mate, it's just a lack of understanding.
Yep.
Again, they probably don't even know guys like us exist properly, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Everybody in a local area talks about the Slimming World down the road. And that word, just Slimming World again, attracts them in, the marketing attracts them in. and it's only a fiver. So again, it comes down to, we spoke about before about values as well.
Mhm.
Do they really value their health that much that they're willing to? They'll all pay like $2,000 to go to Florida easily, but they won't pay £100 a month or whatever it is to get a wee bit of coaching. Do
It's mad, innit?
you know what I mean? So again, it's down to values, mate. But we can't go. Aye. We can't tell people what they should and should not spend their money on, because that's not our jobs. What we need to try and do is educate them and say, look, if you're really, really keen on changing how you felt for the last 8 years, you need to take this step. Because they do, mate. Like, we know there's no point in standing here on this camera line. We don't need them as members. We don't need them. We don't need that stuff, mate. We've built what we've built over a long period of time. We don't need them in, but we know we can help them, so why wouldn't we? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not like we're standing here trying to just promote our businesses, because that's not what's happening. But if you want to change, you need to reach out to guys like us, or guys just like us somewhere else, whether you're in the north of Scotland, England. Reach out to a coach with experience and you'll get the help you need. And if you two yous can work well together, you might only have to be there for 12 months, then you don't have to see them again.
Yes,
Because you'll be educated for the rest of your life.
100%.
And you'll look back and go, I can't believe I was doing Slimming World. I can't believe that I used to do that.
Mhm.
Because that's what I'm hearing from my guys as well. They can't believe that they thought at the time that was the way to go about it.
Mm.
And again, lack of education, mate.
Yep.
I'm going to come back to that every time, because that's what it is.
Aye, that is
Simple
what
as
it is.
that.
And it's just like showing people the light. And I'm not being funny, but how much more do we need to do and show you in terms of transformations, in terms of content, that what you're doing isn't, there's another side of the world out there.
Yep.
So, but people are stubborn. There is an element of ignorance to it. There is, of course, a big self-doubt thing, like thinking, I would never be able to do what he's doing. I've seen his clients lifting in the story. I can't do that. I'd be rubbish at that. But that's a belief issue for deep within me. And it's also, people they still think they're in school when they can't play football and all that. It's like, come on, you're an adult now.
No.
So step out a bit. Another thing, mate, that was obviously stuff we've touched on, but when we look at the question again, did your body physically change? We talked about shape, muscles, body fat, and tone. Everybody reported back with, I lost X amount of pounds.
I knew you were going to say that.
A lot. It was always that. It was, and we know about the Slimming World and our scale weight. We've spoke about it, and we'll keep doing it for 5 episodes. But that's all people did was answer. They never answered with, I actually felt the best I've felt in years. They never answered with anything like that. They actually never said, I was in a really bad place and I got out of it. They always replied with, I lost 15 pounds, I lost 10 pounds. And yet, it didn't make anybody feel any better.
No.
So why is that? Well, that's the case because, I said this in the previous episode, but if somebody comes to you and say, I want to lose 2 stone, you go, well, like, why?
Yep.
No, you don't want to lose 2 stone. Again, as coaches, we'll speak to the client on the phone. Right, why do you want to lose 2 stone? I want to lose 2 stone because I feel fat. Right. Are you happy in the mirror? No. What have you tried in the past? Nothing. I've tried Slimming World.
Yep.
Right, so it never worked. Okay, cool. What if I was to give you the tools to learn how to eat without tracking your food?
Yep.
To do stuff exciting, to burn fat so that we can keep you on as high a calories as possible. What if we would have some of your favourite foods in every day? And then you can eat with the family at the weekends. What if we were to do that? Oh, I couldn't do that. Right, well, watch this. And that's the opposite end of the weight loss figure.
Yep.
So people need to get in their head that why are we doing one thing but Slimming World are doing the other? We're not doing it to bash Slimming World or to promote an agenda. We don't have an agenda, coaches.
No.
The good coaches don't have an agenda because we're not selling it. We've got a service. We're not selling it. It's a service and a life-changing one.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, mate, it's called fair trade.
Mm.
That's what it is. But see what you're saying there about Slimming World, mate. See, going back, these people who try Slimming World for the first time, like I said, they don't know anything about good coaching and what that looks like. So they've got nothing to compare it to. Nothing to compare it to at all. How many people do you know who tried Slimming World, like you said, I lost X amount of weight? See the girls I was talking to today, they kept saying, but it worked when I was doing it. And then when I stopped, it didn't work.
Aye.
And I'm like, that's because you did no tools and no education for the next 5, 10, 15 years of your life.
Mm.
They all said that to a word, that it worked when I was doing it.
Aye, that's what they say.
And I'm like, right, okay, so what happens if you stop coaching with me? How are you going to be for the rest of your life? They're like, well, we're going to keep doing what you tell us, what you've taught us.
Aye.
So they never have to go back to that.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So
Aye.
that was the key words for me today, was it worked when I was doing it. But again, the lack of education, mate, is sometimes like me and you, sometimes we don't even know what's best for us. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like I said last week, you following you for the last 15 years didn't work. So listen to people with some experience.
Yeah.
Because we'll be able to change it for you.
Mate, that's perfect. And it takes us on to our last point, mate. And the last point is, this isn't actually something that people gave me. It was just something that came to me when I was writing it down. And it probably is. It's probably just me observing the answers. And then I wrote it down, and it was back to the first episode, but it was also the consultants, mate, not being qualified. And we aren't qualified, therapists are it, mate. We aren't. But we have so many conversations that we end up getting pretty good at offering advice, right? And these consultants, let's be honest, mate, it comes to these people want to lose weight, they want to lose fat.
Yep.
We're personal trainers, they're consultants. They aren't consultants like the highest up in a doctor's in a hospital. That's not what they are.
So you're a consultant?
Aye, consultants are the top dogs in hospitals. These are Slimming World consultants who have previously lost weight, right? With zero education as well. And yet these people are responsible for, it's the biggest weight loss organisation in the UK, mate. And the people in the front line aren't even qualified to offer nutrition advice or exercise advice. So let's look at that and go, the person I'm taking advice from isn't even qualified, doesn't have a recognised qualification, and yet they're giving me advice on how to eat and not to train. What is that irony? What the fuck?
That's
do you know what I mean?
That's like finding somebody, right, who pulled their own teeth out with pliers and then gone to them for dental treatment.
Aye.
It's the same thing.
Aye.
I know that doesn't happen. That's an extreme example, right? But all they've basically done there is pull their own teeth out and then they're telling everybody else out they're dentists. So that's the same thing, mate.
Aye.
They found a way they've lost weight based on that individual person and probably put it all back on again, but now they're trying to teach other people. How can you go to somebody without a qualification? You wouldn't go to a guy who says they were a therapist, mate, just because they went through hundreds of hard stuff in his life and got through it himself.
Aye.
It doesn't make him a therapist.
No.
He's a therapist because he went through X amount of training, X amount of hours, probably working with people.
Aye, that's
Worked out what was right for that, or these types of personalities and this type of trauma for the past or this type of PSD. And they know that not one size fits all, but for PTSD, there's probably 5 or 6 different things that you might be able to do to help in the tool drawer that you've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, as opposed to just saying, I'm a Slimming World consultant because I've done it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
We could just all sit and weigh people in the scales. We'll just queue people up out there, we'll put the scales down.
Aye.
Step on, mate. What happened to you last week?
Aye. That's the stepping on the scales isn't a problem of it. It's the question after it.
Aye.
What happened last week? The question that ends up putting somebody in such a bad place with their life, their mental health, their physical health, their confidence, their belief system. Like, mate, see, as personal trainers, we get a very, very basic nutrition qualification, right? We aren't nutritionists by any means. We aren't dietitians. We need to be very, very careful what advice we give when it comes to nutrition. We do.
Yep, of course.
Don't get me wrong. You have some nutritionists who have got agendas. You could sit there and say, oh, this doctor has this nutrition protocol, and it's like, it probably lines their pockets. They've probably got a book out. Yeah. But at the end of the day, as personal trainers, we build up, we do extensive research to figure out good ways to fit our clients' calories around their lifestyle. You know, whether it's eating Subways, whether it's prepping their meals, whether if that's too much for somebody with kids. Yep. We figure out a way, we facilitate dietary requirements for a client. And we have to be careful with it. That's personal trainers and coaches. These people aren't qualified. Like, let's actually take a wee second to realise that the person that you're taking nutrition advice for and lifestyle advice isn't even qualified. How are they getting away with this?
Nobody's there's no see how when you get people on the TV and that, it's like Ofcom or something where you can only say certain things on the radio. You can only say, or even the level 2 and level 3. Like when I mark people's work for that, because I put people through their courses for level 2 and level 3, I mark their work and then my work gets marked from an IV team to say that it's good enough work. Mm-hmm. So it's getting qualified twice, if that makes sense, through 2 different people. Mm-hmm. Whereas they're just doing the Slimming World for a year, losing £10, and then what do you just apply by saying, yeah, mate, if you're getting any jobs, I've got a wee bowling centre down there. I can round up 50 women who are all vulnerable. Let's be honest, right? Yep. I'll round up 50 people who are vulnerable, mate. We'll make a £5 a week. We'll £5 a week off everybody. In fact, you know what? We'll do 2, and I'll round up another 50. That's 50 times 5. And all we need to do, mate, is buy a set of scales. put them on it and then ask them, what happened? Easy, mate, innit? That's what they're probably sitting saying, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, you know, if anybody from Slimming is watching this, feel free to contact me. Unless you've not got a clue what's happening, you can't think that you truly care about that person. You can't, because it's not right to just charge somebody a five and put them in the scales and then ask them what happened. That's no caring about somebody, mate. That's no caring about somebody. The one good thing about myself and I know about you is we actually care about our clients. Did we make mistakes in the past? Probably. We were not as educated as we are right now, but we spent the last 7-8 years getting better at educating ourselves so that the advice that we dish out is the best to our knowledge at that time. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas, where's the education? Their lack of qualification. But do you know what? We shouldn't. This conversation after you said to me, they're not even qualified. Full stop.
Yeah,
we could have moved on. Obviously, it's better to talk about it, but I could have just said to you, just move on, mate.
Aye.
They're not qualified. What the fuck?
Exactly, mate. Go on, like, who is it fucking does the drug raids? What they call it? The DEA?
Aye, in America, aye.
Aye.
Let's go with them.
We don't know what they're called here, don't we, Northern? Never heard of it. We've never had a raid. But I like, go and chat their door and go, right, you know, who's qualified here? Because, it's like, we've had clients as coaches with all the goodwill in the world, how much we care, and people come off the back of fat loss phases in a bad place. They look at their previous pictures, they felt a certain way, they pile it back on because the fucking world around us right now is tough. But they did it at a time when they had support. Imagine never having that support. And imagine, you know, because we're sitting here saying this isn't just people not got to the gym anymore. This is people who have lost a good bit of fat and all of a sudden they're back to a place where they were unhappy again. And the person responsible, the person in their ear, wasn't even qualified to do so. And when we talk about a therapist or a psychologist, they need to be very, very careful what they say to people, right? Because it could be life-threatening.
Yep.
This stuff isn't life-threatening, but it certainly lays the foundations for long-term life-threatening stuff.
Exactly.
Health, like your
mental health,
but even physical health, even like passing it down to your kids, even passing your genes down, it's a lot more important than people think. And you might think, oh, you're a personal trainer, you only like, no. We've seen it. We've seen it happening. Why do you think 50 people are replying to me on one story in a space of 2.5 hours? This isn't just us doing this so that we can then sell a new club called fucking Skinny World.
Slimming Universe.
Aye. We're not doing an agenda here. The people that you're taking advice off of isn't qualified. And like Oven said, end the story. Full stop.
Mate, do you know why? Do you know what? Just to add to that, right? We're not sitting here talking about other coaches and saying they're bad. That's how you know we've not got an agenda. The reason we're talking specifically about Slimming World, mate, is because the amount of feedback we've got that we know it's a problem. That's why we're talking about it. Slimming World is not a threat to our businesses. It's not a threat to me or you or Paul. It's not a threat to any of us, mate. It's a threat to everybody out there who doesn't even understand what's happening. And that's why we're talking about it. So if anybody's watching this thinking they too sound a bit spiteful, all that we're saying is the facts are that we get feedback for hundreds and hundreds of people that it doesn't work for them. That's why we're sitting having this conversation, mate, for no other reason than that.
Yeah. Because
we can no longer just sit back. Like you say, it's either that or go on Facebook and write, oh, Slimming World shite, don't take Slimming World. That's probably what we're saying in an essence here, right? But at least we're backing it up.
Yeah.
We're backing it up, mate. There's no point in sitting there saying, we're no saying, don't do it, because we're kind of saying Slimming World is not good for you in the long term, because it's not. We both know that. But the reason we're having the conversation again, I'll reiterate, is because it's a problem, mate. It's simple as that. There's no other reason. It's a problem.
Yep. And we're in this game. So we want to address problems. That's what we do. We want to solve problems for people. And this is why also, the positive column here is just fat loss. So did your body physically change shape, muscle, body fat? There's red crosses here because tone isn't a thing. You need to have sufficient protein intake. You need to use weights to tone your muscles. And muscles was there as well. Body fat, yep, they actually reported that they lost fat. We'll not talk about if they kept it off or not. They did. They lost fat.
Yep.
Because they probably gave up some of the food that when clients start with us, they go from eating a ridiculous amount of calories and eating a lot of shite and eating without any structure to just starting to tidy it up. So, yeah, they lost fat. So like Chris says, we're not here, this isn't a hunting match where we're just only focusing on negatives. Again, we made it very clear, guys, at the start of the podcast and the start of the first episode, we're doing this objectively and like Chris said, well, looking at the facts, I can send all the screenshots in for these people that I don't even know. There's only about 4 clients replied to me. Chris put it in his group to get all the girls in there because they'd been there a while and they got really good feedback and they wanted to go in on it. So we let them. But I only had about 4 clients reply to this. And the rest are all people that are just my following on Instagram. And if you follow me on Instagram and scroll down a bit, you'll never see me bashing Slimming World. So there's no evidence of me putting the people on the pedestal before I go to these questions. So one positive was fat loss. And when we look at fat loss and we know that people didn't keep it off versus all those negatives, guys, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't. So yeah, mate, that's pretty much that question. The next question, mate, is going to be even worse for Slimming World. The next question is, did you feel restricted?
Okay.
So that's episode 3. You better saddle up for that one. Because the answers I got for that, mate, were...
And again, mate, see the questions, because obviously you gave me them and you put them out there, right? They're not... We didn't even say we'll come on here to say anything good or bad about Slimming World. We just asked the question, have you done Slimming World? And can you give us answers on these things here? So we didn't even subliminally, because we all know we could question stuff. I can put questions towards my team that narrow them towards an answer I'm looking for. Like, that's the truth. We all can do that. That's what studies are. I could make a study up about it and make it look in my favour, because you can word that a certain way.
You could say, if you want to promote Slimming World, you say, did you lose fat at Slimming World?
Yep.
And I'll go, yep. So you're right.
You can direct it. That was your questions, mate, but just literally questions, and that's it.
See, when I put the questions up, there was no word of a show yet. I didn't say I was doing a show.
Yep.
I sent you the questions when I said I was going to do a show. But those questions, I says, I need your help. This is what I did. I put it in my story. I said, I need your help. Anyone who's done Slimming World in the past, can you please reply in this sticker box? And then I sent them the question that says, much detail as possible would be great, thanks. That's all I says. I've got the screenshots, mate. Right. So like you say, it was absolutely fair. And there's a reason that they've had millions of lawsuits as well because of the amount of people.
It's not very good, man. I just thought about it there. See if, that's just off the top of my head, obviously COVID's a wee bit in the way now, but see if we could get some of these people in and give them like some sort of free, what do you call it, like a workshop in some way, and ask them in person about their Slimming World stuff, and then how we can move them forward, mate, for free. That would be good.
We'll do it, mate.
Do you know what I mean? I think that'd be good. If we can get in people in here, social distance, mate, or anywhere we can hire somewhere out. Now, this hasn't been planned. I'm just come up with this. You don't even know about it. I think that would be a good idea, mate. It's another step to show that we're committing probably 1, 2, 3 years of our time to put these people in the right direction. I just think it's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Leave a comment. No, mate, 100%, and I'm willing to do that 1,000,000%. So, yep, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I hope you tuned in on YouTube or Spotify, wherever it was. Make sure you share this podcast. Make sure you share this screenshot of the YouTube, wherever you're watching and listening. Thanks again, Chris.
Cheers, buddy. I look forward to next week.
Yes, mate. I know you're away to deliver a training for your team tonight, is it? I'm
going to, because obviously the demographic we have is ladies all quite above 40, so one of the big topics was the menopause. So they called it a menopause meeting, so we're having a menopause meeting tonight.
It's alliteration in the
Friday night at 5, mate. What else are you going to do with your time? To have a menopause meeting, so I'm looking forward to it.
Aye.
It's just, again, like we said, does Slimming World have menopause meetings with our women in their 40s and 50s? Probably not.
It's just all one big fucking menopause group.
Right.
They don't speak about it.
So that's, again, I don't have to do that. I want to do it because I want to make sure that I'm delivering the best service I can for everybody in my group, mate. So, aye. You asked me that question off the cuff again. Menopause meeting at 5. I'll try and report back to it, whatever I can. I don't know what I'm expecting here when I go in these bad women are sitting there. But I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Right, mate. As always, thanks very much. And you will see Chris next week on episode 3. Did you feel restricted? So, yeah, guys, speak soon.